On today's episode of Beauty Behind the Brand, we're chatting about creating a brand based on a problem that needs to be solved, bringing US trends to Canada, expanding your business through a product line, the process of scaling into a franchise business, all about Waxon. Now we go into deep dive into how Lexi started Waxon and also a product line and a podcast. Let's dive into this episode and learn more about Lexi. Okay, we've got Lexi here with Waxon, and I have been dying to hear this conversation and all the details and everything, how Waxon came to be what it is today.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me. So I will just kind of dive right in and really where Waxon developed from is through experiences that I think everyone, if you've been doing hair removal for a while, you'll remember the days where places like Waxon did not exist. So we've been in the business for 10 years now, going on actually 11, and have 15 locations, opening another 6 this year with, really great growth plans ahead. And that feels nice out of COVID to finally be saying that again. But I was the typical gal on the go. I was actually working in the consulting industry at the time. So I was traveling all the time for work. And I found I constantly was in the situation where I didn't want to spend a fortune on a wax, which is what we had to do. I wanted a quality service. I wanted last minute bookings, and I ended up behind a shower curtain at, a nail salon so many times and coming out with like half an eyebrow gone or, bruising or all the things. Just everyone knows 40-year-old virgin experience in places that you don't want those experiences to happen. So, I, thought there has to be something better than this. And it actually is the same. We've expanded into laser hair removal as well. In 2018, we brought in laser hair removal, and it was the same thing. Like I was really tired of seeing like everything Groupon and not knowing where to go for a really intimate service, and being able to walk in the door and feel like you're in a really great environment with people who specialize in what they do. They're the best. You're not going to leave feeling like you're in pain. You're going to feel, like you've been provided a really amazing service. And that's what we wanted to nail. And it's really expanded from there into product lines, into podcasts, into supporting women in a lot of different ways. But started with an experience of me behind a shower curtain.
That's amazing. And I feel like that it's always there's a problem and we need to solve it. And that's usually how businesses become what they are in
Exactly.
our own personal situations. That's amazing. And I see that you've been doing a lot of public speaking as well. I think you just had one a couple of weeks ago. You were on like female founder panel.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's like a big passion of mine is just sharing anything I can share to help anyone else avoid some of the, pitfalls along the way and speed bumps along the way. I'm really, really into.
Now, how did you kind of become like, where was the first Waxon franchise? Where did that kind of first kind of literally open the doors to what Waxon is today? Did you always know it was going to be a franchise, or were you kind of like, this is going to be our first and only brick and mortar? And then it became more and more kind of as your business developed over the years?
Yeah. So when I had my experiences, which were, horrific behind the shower curtain, I experienced what was an amazing experience in the US. And that's where wax bars had started popping up. And so I had started to dive into, the research mode of understanding these types of businesses that were there. And there's one really large franchise model. So of course I came out of it thinking like, okay, well, I'm going to do this in Canada and I'm going to have 100 locations in, 5 years. And so I'm sitting here in 10 years and we've got 15 locations and growing. And to be honest, I wouldn't do it any other way. But how we started is I opened the doors at Summerhill. I did a lot of upfront work before opening that because I knew I wanted this business to be one that was going to grow. Yeah. And very quickly I learned that like you need to know so much and you have to have a real toolkit in order to actually franchise your business. So I opened up 4 corporate locations before I even started franchising. Then I
Mhm.
opened some franchises, opened some more corporate locations. So I have 6 corporate locations still today. And it helps us to really stay in the game alongside our franchise partners during COVID. That was incredibly
Yeah.
important.
Mhm.
Um, and also continue to trial and test what works in our industry. And so, as we talk about like expanding, beauty product lines within the business or service offerings, I mean, we're always going to stay true to like our core of our business, which is hair removal, but
Yeah.
the newest brow game, like things like that, we can do that within our corporate walls. So that's really helpful.
Mhm. Now, can you just explain to the viewers the difference between, the 2?
Corporate.
Like yeah, just in a little bit more detail?
Yeah, so a corporate location would be one that I own personally, and a lot of businesses choose to grow this way, but the capital investment comes from, myself.
Mhm.
Whereas a franchise would be a business owner that, or literally an individual. It's why I love franchising so much, because we have all of these women who are deciding for the first time to invest in themselves. They could be empty nesters, they could be coming off mat leave, they could be
Mhm.
looking for a career change and decide that they want to do something for themselves and invest in a business that has structure. So I always say, like, I've made all the mistakes.
Yes.
We know what to do when you come across, X, Y, and Z. And so we provide the structure, the toolkit on how to build a successful business. And you get to own a Waxon and be
That's
part of like an
amazing.
epic family.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the hard part about being an entrepreneur that I hear from so many, and even myself being like a solo. I find I have a team like employees, but it's hard when you're on your own being the entrepreneur who has to like call the shots. You're kind of figuring it out on your own, and yes, making all those mistakes and learning from them. But then they're kind of like as well as the boss babes that are going to be coming in, and you're going to brainstorm with them, see like have those meaningful conversations on how to grow the business, because if you're doing well, they're going to do well, and vice versa. It's like you said, that community, big family growth. I love that so much.
Yeah, it's the best. It's my favorite part of what I get to do is being surrounded by and watching around me all of the women that get to grow within the business. And that's from like the business of our management team, the business of our team members in locations, and then also franchise partners that come on board.
Yeah, and I think too with starting a business, it's always like, where do you start? People don't know, like I even think of myself when I started like our brick and mortar like 7 years ago. I was like, okay, how do I even come up with like my pricing? How do I come up with where I'm supposed to buy the product? All the things where you've already have that model, and it it's how customizable is it for them? Like when someone wants to become a franchise owner with Waxon, what's kind of the onboarding process like?
Yeah, it's really not. I mean, you essentially get Waxon in a box. Like
Oh,
it's
that's amazing.
literally turnkey. And then we train, and where you get to own your business, of course, is in the people you're hiring. We coach on that. And just running and owning and building culture within your team.
Wow.
So
And
it's,
then
yeah.
when it comes to them hiring, so let's say they're wanting a team to onboard with their franchise as well. Are you part of that hiring process as well, or is it something that they do independently as a franchise owner?
We train on how to hire like
Mhm.
the best, the people that make it at Waxon. We have like a really good kind of characteristic profile of what a great Waxon employee looks like,
Mhm.
and team member looks like, and they hire based on that. But it's ultimately like what's a fit for them. So it's just a really nice way of people being able to invest in themselves and be able to own something without having, like you said, like I think that decision piece is really, you can't underestimate when you go into becoming an entrepreneur. I remember opening our first location, and someone was asking me, by that point it was just like the smallest question, and I was so overwhelmed by the fact I'd made so many decisions at that point in like a day, in a month, in a year. I was like, I don't know. I'm done. Like, I don't know if I can make another decision.
Hmm.
So it's really, yeah, it's removing a lot of those roadblocks that oftentimes, like I say to anyone who wants to get into owning their own business, like the key things are passion, of course. And I don't think like let's just say, call a spade a spade. Like my passion is not in hair removal,
Yeah. Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But my passion is in like the people and the clients and the service offering that we provide and growing the business and seeing women continue to succeed. And that's what fuels me every day. And so you need to have a passion for what you're doing. You need to solve a problem, like you mentioned, but the execution is the piece that we're removing through franchising, because to pull the trigger to actually make that leap from putting together a business plan to actually like writing a check and starting to really put
Yes.
the investment into it are two very different things. And opening the doors to the location, like the vulnerability you feel, like is real. So
Hmm.
we're kind of removing and still it is very intimidating even when you're coming a franchise partner, because there's so much to learn, and you really truly are still an entrepreneur, but we're trying to help remove those roadblocks.
Peaches, word of mouth marketing for Squarespace stores. Make more sales with Peaches Squarespace plugins. Get the #1 referral and affiliate software for your e-commerce store. Everyone wants to boost sales and reach new customers via affiliates or referrals marketing programs. Word of mouth marketing is the best and most powerful, low cost, and way to grow your business online organically. All you need to do is get the right software to help your customers talk about you and influencers promote you and reward them for doing so. I will put my referral link down below. And I really like how you said too, like the decision making, because I always think of like Steve Jobs, for example. Like he always wore the same thing all the time because you didn't have to make it. Like we wear uniforms at work, and it has made my life so much easier because it's first thing in the morning. I don't have to make a decision. Well, today I'm actually wearing normal clothes, but like usually when I go in, I'm wearing a uniform, and it's one less decision I need to make in the morning. Because yes, to your point, it's like sometimes you're just at your max and you can't make another decision. You're just like, I always say your brain's full. There's only so much capacity.
100%.
And also for yourself, you're a mom as well of
Yeah.
4. So
Yeah.
so I feel like that's something that people probably resonate with you, as well as like being that working mom mentality, as well as now being that business owner. You're wearing multiple hats, which they probably are like, you know what, if I could go to anyone, this would be the person to be able to resonate and actually take my business or help me start a business, because you get it on all these different levels as well.
Yeah, we have, yeah, and so many, I think almost all of our franchise partners are moms, which
Yes.
is really cool. And you're juggling a lot of different balls. I mean, I like to say, and the decision thing, like I have Adam now, I don't order anything at restaurants. Like he just orders everything.
Yes.
I don't want to see a menu. Like that's a decision I just don't want to make. Like what
Yes.
we're going to eat for dinner that night. Like I'm like, you tell me, I don't know.
Mm.
So it's funny when you remove certain decisions from your life because you just don't want to make one more. But it's yeah, the juggle is real. I'm a big believer in like compartmentalizing
Mm-hmm.
and trying to, find moments in the day. Like I have 4 now, 4.5 and under, and it's days can be truly chaotic. But I think that, some of the things that we implement in our lives are like trying to find a gap from 5 to 7 where my team knows and we set boundaries. I encourage them to set boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them carve out like their lunch in their calendars and things like that. For me, it's like 5 to 7. I'm likely not going to have my phone on me. I'm likely not going to be picking up. And so unless like really something's wrong, like
Yes.
just, that's my time for the kids. And then, pickups on Fridays and things that then I feel like I'm fulfilling my mom guilt.
Mm-hmm. No,
I'm
it's a
always going
real
to feel
thing.
it,
Yeah.
but it helps to minimize some of that. And then, just working in whatever you can. I do like music classes on Wednesdays with the twins, and like that makes me feel better that I'm carving that time out and it's dedicated to them. And I'm doing something that other moms that are on mat leave are doing. And,
Mm-hmm.
you need to find those moments that are going to help to make you feel less guilty about
Mhm.
the times that you're not there.
Yeah, and even the time for yourself. I feel like people kind of idolize the whole busy mentality and then looking back and being like, okay, if my cup isn't full, I'm not going to be able to overfill it to give that love and attention and everything I need for everybody else around me. Because I even notice that when I come back from vacation or just even stepping back from a day and kind of recouping, it's like, oh, wow, okay, now I feel like I'm so much more clear minded. I know my direction. I feel more motivated. And people need those breaks as well as yourself, as like having that family time and not feeling bad about those boundaries. I think that's something we kind of have to train ourselves, because
Yeah.
it's really ourselves at the end of the day that are like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this, but I should be doing this, and getting over those hurdles. So I guess you would have had the franchise a couple years before, like you would have had Waxon a couple years before having kids then, right?
Yeah, many I
Yeah,
had it, they're my first baby for sure.
there you go. And what was that kind of, what was your life then? Like, were you like basically living and breathing Waxon at that point to get it up off the ground and getting things situated there? And then how far along were you opening the next locations after that first one?
Yeah, I actually opened our first location or second location just over a year after our first one. Fortunately, our first location just took off and it did so well. Our second one, same story. I was like, oh my gosh, I got it. I'm totally hands down, like this is just a rocket ship. And here I go to 500 locations, you know?
That's amazing.
And then the third and fourth ended up falling at the exact same time. And I think that it's an important lesson. You can get really caught up in almost your own success early on in the entrepreneurial journey. And I opened a Summerhill, a downtown, and then I had one in the West End and then the East End, and they opened back to back. And the East End didn't ramp up as quickly as the other ones. And they opened the exact same timing. They were way over budget. I, started to see the cracks in what my foundation I thought I built that was so secure was. And that's where it's just so important to not, I could have then stopped. I could have been like, oh no, maybe this model doesn't work. But instead, like I reflected on it, I iterated it, and we've learned so much from this one location that now is actually one of our top performers.
Wow.
And it's been able to teach us like beyond what we could have gotten from it had it been a completely successful location. And so instead of being scared and thinking like my model is completely broken, I shouldn't continue to grow this business, we kept going and we kept moving forward. But what I knew is that we needed to take some more time and not franchise yet, like, and really make sure that we understood all the ins and outs of the business before we took someone's investment, which to me is very, I take that to heart. Like I really honor the investment that someone puts into the business.
Definitely. And what were some of kind of if you don't mind sharing, like some of the things that you kind of had to iron out before moving on to the next location? Was it like just like a few examples maybe that some of the listeners can probably resonate with as well?
Well, key is I think the key lesson, and I've put this out there to now our team in every management meeting that we have, is naming something that last month, and we call it our vulnerable moment, like that was a mistake that you made that you've learned from, and holding yourself accountable to that. So for me in that moment, it was, I thought, I was unstoppable and I knew I was signing a, B to C level location. Like it wasn't the top real estate that has made us successful to date, but I more so just wanted to get another location open and have like the four corners of the city covered. And so being able to take moments along the way, especially when you come up to a place where you've made, a quote unquote mistake, and actually take the learnings from that and share that you've made the mistake. And that's what we do in our management meetings in front of everyone. We say like, here's what happened last month and I messed up on this, and here's the learning from it. And then you're kind of holding yourself accountable to not be doing the same thing over and over again. Or if you do, you start to see the trend and can make a shift to make that better.
And I think it makes you human. I feel like, especially if you have people looking up to you, and especially your role, it's like oh yeah, she is human. She does make mistakes. And then like you said, it's making you accountable to that team that is looking at kind of things that they then won't do wrong either, or the things that they might be considering. And then it's like, okay, maybe we learned from Lexi's like situation or whatever, or vice versa, someone else in the team might be going through something too. That's very smart. I like that a
Yeah,
lot.
it's so important. And I tell them, and anyone who comes onto our team, the first thing I tell them is like, we're moving quickly. Like that's our goal is
Yeah.
if we're going to move quickly, we're executing, things that are 80% of the way there, and we're going to iterate on them until they're, there. Um,
Hmm.
I'm going to make the biggest mistakes out of anyone. Like the mistakes I
Yeah.
make are really big mistakes, right? Just
Mhm.
because of the impact that they have on the business. And so
Absolutely.
you like the things you're going to talk about in the meeting aren't even going to come close to the things I'm going to share, and promoting them to do that, because otherwise you're going to be too shy to pull the trigger, and we can't move forward that way. And everyone has to feel safe in the space that they're in, and like that is our purpose across my entire company is providing a safe space to inspire you to live smoother in your own skin. And that's from the clients that come in the door, the people who work at Waxon in the locations, and the people that are on our management team. It's an inclusive, safe environment where you can feel like you can make mistakes and be okay with them. I just say, don't make the same mistake more than
Yeah,
once.
yeah,
Let's learn
exactly,
from it.
exactly. And I feel like that's a life lesson, even I'm sure with kids to adults
Yeah,
to business owners to anyone, right? Like yes, it's okay to make mistakes, but you learn from them and hopefully don't do them again.
exactly, exactly.
And then we were chatting before the call too about your product line.
Mhm.
I haven't personally used them, but I see your marketing is like insane. I see it everywhere on social media, as well as just I think what you're doing we do quite a bit of Brazilian waxing and body
Yeah.
waxing at our location. And I think it's so interesting because there's really not like even the Sani wipes and things like that. There isn't a lot of that stuff that is available that is a one-time use, like already pre-made in the sachets available for
Mhm.
wax studios. So yeah, if you want to share a little bit more in detail about the line and how it kind of revolved from Waxon and how you started it, I'd love to hear that story.
Yeah, absolutely. So so at Waxon we have our own body line called like Body by Waxon, and those are, exfoliating products, body oils, everything that complements your hair removal experience, because everyone, if you don't know, you need to exfoliate when you wax.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
we're providing those products. But one of the things that kept coming up from our team members, from the clients, was really this, and we get so much from our clients and our team members in the conversations that they have in the intimate space in the rooms, right? And was, the need for pH balance washes, pH balance products, stuff that you felt really safe using, intimate skincare, like below the belt. And
Hmm.
really, we created a product line that is meant to, for intimate skincare. And it's just meant to, provide additional confidence within women, like allow them just to feel comfortable in their own skin, um, and and be really amazing products that not only are you using below the belt, but you want to use everywhere in your body. So it includes, our pH balance, probiotic body wash. It's unbelievable. I use it in a bath. I use it like makes for like this unbelievable bubble bath. A lot of women aren't able to have bubble baths because they're prone to yeast infections. So
Hmm.
it's so safe to use on your body. We have a fragrance-free one as well. But the amber rose water is like the most amazing scent. And then we have a deo mist that's a deo mist, and it's a plant-based odor neutralizing spray, and it can be used below the belt again, but a lot of women use it in their like
Oh,
underarms.
underarms. That's smart.
Yeah, especially like on the go, because it's mini, so you can just pop it in your purse, and it's a spritz, so it's not like you're having to like put deodorant on the go. And I again spray it all over my body. Yeah, and then we have a lubricant and the fresh wipes, and those are great on the go. And again, like everything is just really healthy and safe for you. They're clean beauty products, and they're just meant to help you just feel, more comfortable, confident in your skin.
Are you thinking about starting a podcast? I remember when we launched Beauty Behind the Brand, it was just an idea at first, and I didn't know where to start or what platform to use or how to streamline everything. Buzzsprout has made our lives so much easier, and I want to share some free info about it. Save $20 on your second invoice with Buzzsprout, and they will make your life so much easier. All you really need to do is upload, chat, and interview your guests, and Buzzsprout does the rest. That's amazing. And the best way for people, do they have to go into a Waxon location or can they do e-commerce? What's the best way for them to purchase?
Yeah, so they can buy it online on my-south.com or Waxon's website. We sell it on e-com. The shipping's super and free shipping over a certain amount, and it's super fast, or go into Waxon.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
So they can actually go in and see the product and or go right online. That's amazing. Because I feel like that's one of the things e-commerce, especially during COVID, which I'm sure you can totally relate, was insane. I feel like everything was obviously online because people couldn't go in and actually purchase things. But I think that's what also helped elevate marketing and like that online presence during that time was, okay, we got to get this product in front of people to be able to see and to merchandise and get things going. And how did your company do during COVID? What was kind of some of the things you guys did to help kind of better your business through the times that the closing? Because Toronto, you're the same as us in Ontario. It was a long time.
So long. I think it was like 322 days or something total when you add them all together. And so, South, our intimate skincare line, that was a big focus of ours for sure, alongside doing everything we could do to promote our products like Body by Waxon.
Yeah.
We did, curbside pickups. A lot of people were just, very supportive of our clients because, we see our clients every 4 to 6 weeks. Like that's how often they're coming in for the services. So they were so supportive and just like stocking up on anything that they possibly could. We did a bunch of things around like discounting on bar tab services, so laser services and things like that. We'd provide some of those when we were ramping back up to opening. But honestly, for us, it was working on the business during COVID and really from the franchising perspective, getting ourselves in a place where we came out of it and now we're in this really high growth stage of the business. So I kept on my entire management team for the majority of the closures, just except for the very beginning when no one had any idea what was going on.
Oh, 2 weeks. Okay.
And I had Clark, my son, was born 3 days before the lockdown.
Oh my
So I had a
gosh.
newborn, like brand new newborn. And all of a sudden Adam comes in and tells me, like, because he worked for a restaurant franchise and knew what was going on as well and was going to have to close their locations and came in and said, like, you're going to have to talk to your team. Like, you got to close down. Like, this is like, you got to shut down. Like, this is it. And yeah, I think that was right when my milk came in and I was completely overly emotional and started bawling my eyes out. So, and then we took it from there, but we really focused on the business. And the other thing that we did, and honestly, it's holding to this day, is like the culture that we built and maintained within our teams. We'd have like people come in and do meditation things with our team members. We'd, just jump on Zooms all the time and just connect and have a cocktail night together. We did a lot of IG lives with different experts to continue to keep people engaged. We do newsletters every week to our entire teams just to keep them engaged and, have the latest Netflix series and things like that. So I think that's really important to, highlight as well.
With my team, same thing. I was like, I don't have answers. And I feel like that was the hardest time to, like, as an entrepreneur, I feel like you become an entrepreneur so you can be in control and like kind of navigate things, and just not knowing is probably the part that was the hardest for me, of not having answers for my staff. And yes, jumping online, checking in how everyone was doing, even clients, like I had some clients that were living on their own and I was checking in how they were doing. But yeah, that culture of like the every 3-4 weeks, people are coming, 4 to 6 weeks coming in for their appointments. And did you already have like a membership or anything like that prior to lockdown, or was that something you kind of amped up afterwards because you saw the model was obviously working?
Yeah, we had, we've always offered like we call them bar tabs. So they're like package programs that you can
Mhm.
get on. And when we first opened Waxon, we had like an annual wax to the max. It was a one-time
Oh, yeah.
payment and you could come in as frequent as you wanted. Um, and then we backed away from that. So memberships definitely came out following COVID. And yeah, I've seen, clients are very dedicated. I think something that really helped coming out of COVID us see is, I'm sure you've seen the same thing, is like the need for personal care services as like a necessity in
Yes. Yeah.
people's lives. Hair removal and otherwise is something that can't be downplayed. We want this in our lives, and it does help us to build additional confidence and allow us to feel better when we're showing up, be it on Zoom or in meetings and things like that. And that's not because we're like vain or anything like that. It's just, I think it's really important to get up and get yourself, looking the way you want, to feel the way you want.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it just provides this additional layer of confidence for you to be able to go after whatever it is that you want to do. And there's something to be said about that. And so I think during COVID, people really realized that like having my hair colored mattered and
Yes, yeah, or
just
didn't to some,
groomed
like, it was
or didn't.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it kinda gave people the opportunity to kinda grow things out, whatever hair it is, but I
Yeah.
feel like with the gray, there were so many women that were like, "Actually, I really like
I
my
love that.
gray. I'm gonna let it go." My mom's a
Yeah.
hairdresser, so I feel like there was a lot of clients that way, and then even with us, I found, um, yeah, people were either changing, like we do lash extensions as well. Some people wanted to just switch to lash lifts and tints or like switch to
Great.
brow lambs. It kind of gave people to kind of reset what they actually really wanted to get done.
Yeah.
Um, did you see a pivot from like clients that were doing waxing versus getting into laser? Did you see any pivots when people were
A
coming back
bit,
to get
yes. At the
services? Yeah.
beginning, for sure, because people were terrified of lockdowns again. They're like, I
Oh, yeah.
cannot go through this again with hair growing back. Like, I'm just not doing it. I'm not shaving ever again. Like, this is insane. I don't want to
Yeah.
trim, like all the things. Oh my gosh, you're literally giving me PTSD.
Yeah, we
This
had clients
conversation.
calling me like, "I'm stuck to the bathtub. How do I get out of this?" Because they tried to give themselves a Brazilian wax. I'm
I
like,
mean,
"Oh god."
exactly. So I think the one thing that it definitely showed is like people realize like, oh, this is why I go to the experts. Like the at-home
Exactly.
thing is really not for the faint of
And
heart.
like also I mean, I as an esthetician, I feel like we do things to ourselves just so we know how it feels or whatever. But yeah, waxing yourself is not fun
No.
at all. And yes, having an expert is a must. And there's a lot of room for error in many different ways of waxing. But even laser hair removal, I feel we actually have laser now at our like we're becoming more of a medi spa at our location. And I feel like it's interesting where for myself, my skin was just breaking out with waxing and I
Mm.
struggle with like unwanted hair in places and laser was just something that I was like, I need to get this done because it just makes sense. Same thing. If we go into lockdown or if I'm going on a trip for a long period of time and I don't have access to wax, this was kind of the answer to be hair free
It's
forever,
amazing.
hopefully.
And totally be hair free, carefree and hair free. Yeah. And I keep missing my windows because I keep having kids and I'm
Kids,
done
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And so now I'm finally like, I've been in, I've had laser sessions and then all of a sudden I get pregnant and laser sessions. So I'm so excited. I tell my team I'm gonna be like Flipper the dolphin, like
Yeah.
just hairless.
That's amazing. And that's something else that I think people actually don't realize either with like hormonal changes and things with waxing as well, even menopause, the changes of life, right? Whether it's waxing or hair removal, your hormones do change and sometimes things do happen. You need touch ups here and there, or if you're in the
Mhm.
middle of getting your sessions done. And that's okay. I feel like really emphasizing that that's a normal thing that we are going to go through with
Yeah,
those
totally.
different changes for sure.
Totally. And in that, I feel, yeah. So I'm perfect time now until menopause hits. So
Yeah, you've
got,
got quite a few years.
got a
You're
little
good.
bit, a little bit time there.
That's amazing. Now, on kind of like an ending note, what are some of the things that you would share with people looking either to get into either like a wax on or a franchise or looking to kind of or even a product line, a podcast. We didn't even
Yeah.
talk about your
Oh yeah,
podcast.
podcast. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
let's quickly chat about that actually, because I feel like that's something we haven't talked about.
Yeah. So we go there, actually similar to yours, like Nikki and I birthed this alongside birthing we have sons very similar age during COVID. Both had sons in lockdown. And then, I had her on before lockdown. We were both pregnant to do this We Go There video series, and featured her, and she's unbelievable in what she does. She's the Bell Method. If anyone is going pregnant or planning to have a baby, like, you must follow her. And she and I just decided that we wanted to start this podcast, and it came out of the place of, again, like, the services that we provide being so intimate. We always said at Waxon, like, if these walls could talk, and because the questions that women feel empowered to ask their service providers, their waxologists, laserologists, when they're behind closed doors, are the things that, like, you Google to yourself at night, right? Like, you just feel like you can talk to them, like, say more to them than your best friend. And so
Absolutely.
what we wanted to provide and We Go There was really a platform to bring in experts to answer all the questions that women want to know and maybe are too afraid to ask. So we literally talk about everything, like hemorrhoids and like incontinence and motherhood and sex and intimacy and hormones and menopause, perimenopause. So, like, all the things. And we go there. So if it's a topic that you want to know about, we probably have
well,
covered
actually, I'll put the info in the show notes too, so people can follow along on basically all your platforms, because I feel like that is something, it follows along so well with your business model too. Because like you said, it is that kind of closed door where things and conversations do come up, because I feel like too, when people are in a vulnerable situation, they become more vulnerable in conversation as well.
Yeah, exactly. And with Waxon, like, we like to say, like, we're so much more than just coming in for hair removal. Like, what we try to cover is, we're obviously going to provide this exceptional service. We have the product lines to support the services we provide and like, just all of our clients' needs. The products we bring into Waxon, we really focus on, like, female businesses. So, like, we've just brought in Radford and, like, female-owned companies that we want to feature within the walls of Waxon. And then we have this education piece, and that's the We Go There element. So it's really just trying to, like, give our clients more than just coming in and getting, a laser or a wax.
I feel like it's touching all points. Like, it's like their mental health, their physical health, and as well as you've kind of got like that built-in friend that you're going to go see you're probably going to see, I think I see my clients more than I see my best friends, because
and you're probably like their therapist is what they call you, right?
Yeah, literally. And I feel like even in aesthetic school, or even like wax training, things like that, you kind of do learn how to have conversations with your clients. That's the whole part of, I think, being an esthetician or a wax specialist, is you kind of learn how to make them feel comfortable. It's a huge part of what we do daily to make them
exactly.
And like, back to the passion conversation we had too. So so many takeaways. This was great.
So awesome. Yeah.
Perfect.
No, I really appreciate you having me on, and it's been so much fun.
Amazing. And I'm sure we'll probably have you back on again, because I'm sure we'll have lots of raving reviews about this episode, because there is so many takeaways from this. So thank you so much.
Whatever you want to talk about, like, we can go to a lot of different places with this.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. I'm so happy we actually got to chat in person. Well, in person, air quotes, but thank you so much, Lexi.
Thank you.